I really love video games. I know, it's surprising. I played a lot over the years, experiencing a variety of games and franchises, so today, let's talk about said franchises. Whether they be racing games, platformers, RPGs, or a mixture of different gaming genres, anything goes, as this list is completely based on personal preference and my overall enjoyment with the games. In terms of spin-offs, I'll either pick the main series and its spin-off games together, or just one of them per segment. For example, a segment could consist of Super Mario along with all its spin-offs, or the segment would be just, let's say, the RPG games, and the platformer games wouldn't be able to take another segment. This is to keep the list varied, and so the list wouldn't look too familiar. Oh yeah, this is a remake of my first major top 10, so this will be exciting to compare my past opinions and how much they've changed. Just me comparing, you don't get to watch that video, it sucks. Now, let's move on to a video with actual quality and start this once again. These are my top 10 favorite video game franchises. Let's start things off with a rather simple yet highly enjoyable platforming series. Kirby consistently delivers quality games that are full of charming graphics, upbeat music, and most importantly, great gameplay. While the stories are never super interesting, they don't have to be because we just want a good game out of a 2D platformer. However, there are times when the story does get a bit more involved, which is never a bad thing in my eyes. The characters are all adorable as well, even Meta Knight, who tries so hard to be edgy but only makes him even cuter. Just look at him, you just want to pinch his little cheeks so. Level design is always great and fun to explore while getting from point A to point B, and bosses provide their own challenges along with personality. That goes for the series as a whole. The personality is astonishing at times, getting a laugh out of me on multiple occasions. The twists brought to the genre are great as well, with the biggest being the copy abilities. With so many different abilities to find and master, it allows for even more fun and depth in each game. The unique aspects of each game also help to have the parts of the whole have different identities and individuality. There's a lot here that many wouldn't expect from this series at surface value. These all make for a great platforming series that's yet to give me a game I downright despise, which is crazy since it's been going on for over 20 years. Here's to more fun adventures from the pink puffball himself, especially if that means more anime, because good lord. Damn, it feels like such a long time since I talked about Mario. The man who saved video games himself while providing us some fantastic games for over 30 years definitely earns a spot on my list. I absolutely adore the platformers, even if I don't bring them up as much. A lot of the games were huge parts of my childhood, and being older and able to tell a good game apart from a crappy one, what a great childhood that was. Colorful and pleasing graphics, catchy, memorable music that even non-gamers would recognize, and some of the tightest controls and levels in all platformers. The quality of these games sometimes even get out of this world, you might say. But platformers aren't the only thing with Mario. His spin-offs are nothing to scoff at either. Tons of great moments in Mario Kart, lost friendships in Mario Party, surprisingly good JRPGs that could rank among my favorites. The list just goes on, and I can't get enough of it. In all honesty, the Super Mario franchise should be near the top, but you know, personal preference and all that good stuff. But I love the platforming plumber to death and will continue to buy his new games for years to come. I just don't play him as often, and I probably won't because I just love these next franchises so much more. That being said...
Oh yeah, Mario time!
Pokémon Monster. Oh, Pokemon, what a great series. So many great memories with the many titles, unforgettable moments, a diverse and enormous set of creatures to catch, so many pretty colors and beautiful environments no matter which entry you're playing, and music that makes me drool. What's so great about this series is that every new entry improves on the formula while also adding something new to make said entry unique, allowing for something new yet better every single time. They don't always succeed, mind you, but you can clearly tell that a lot of effort is put into each and every game. As a JRPG series aimed towards all ages, it greatly succeeds. Their stories are nothing to write home about, but they're entertaining and at times have some legitimate thought to them rather than beat the bad guys. Then when it comes to how the game plays, it's simple enough for anyone to understand, however, it has so much depth and a huge competitive scene that makes it incredibly tough yet rewarding to master. Along with most of the series being portable, allowing you to pick up and play it or really immerse yourself into it whenever you choose, it's accessible, convenient, and most of all, fun. Hell, even the spin-offs are a lot of fun, most of the time. These are very hit or miss for me, but I will say I greatly enjoy Mystery Dungeon, the GameCube games, and especially the Ranger games. Other than that, I really haven't played many of the spin-offs, so... I love Pokemon, and you should too. Go play them, they're great. I don't want to reveal my favorite quite yet, but for right now, I'll just say that Gen 4 games are my love children, and the Gen 5 and 7 games are the closest to being perfect that this series has gotten so far. By the way, Rosa is best Pokegirl. Next! Kirby, Super Mario, and Pokemon. Put all those together with a crap ton of other Nintendo games and you get my favorite fighting game franchise, along with my 7th favorite franchise of all time,
Super Smash Brothers!
The hype never ceases to excite me, which only makes me question why the name wasn't shouted in Brawl and Smash 4. Anyways, Super Smash Bros. If you're a Nintendo fan or even a gamer, chances are you know about this series, a 4-player fighting and party franchise where many beloved Nintendo characters fight each other just because it's fun. The gameplay has always been fun no matter which installment you're playing, and especially if you're with friends. There are a ton of characters to choose from, all being unique and bringing their own moves to the table. Okay, most of the time, but even they provide their own little tweaks. Very, very little tweaks in some cases. Besides fighting, there are a lot of other modes that provide their own challenge and fun to be had as well. Board the platforms, target smash, smash run, boss battles, adventure mode, subspace emissary? Okay, maybe not that one. There's a lot to do, even with the gobs of replay value just smashing provides. Every title has their own fun to be had, and playing these games never ceases to amaze me, especially if it's with friends, as I constantly say in this segment. Geez, this actually was my favorite Nintendo franchise for a while, but alas, there was another that took its spot. It doesn't lessen my love for this series though. Smash Bros will always have a special place in my heart, and will always be a great time no matter which installment you're playing. Hell, it even introduced me to a lot of great games and franchises, like the Mother series, Kid Icarus, Sin and Punishment, Star Fox, and...
The winner is...
Fire Emblem. I was going to say Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is my jam! At first, I didn't know a thing about this franchise besides Roy and Marth are 2 dope characters to use who speak Japanese. Funny enough, they're some of my least favorite in the series, but I digress. Now I know that it's an intense and incredibly fun strategy RPG franchise full of deep stories, grand soundtracks, tense gameplay, and pretty anime characters. This series stormed its way to the top in terms of Nintendo franchises, but damn it, I loved everything about Fire Emblem. I love the story for their setting, the sheer size of the characters that still manage to stand out in their own ways. Can we also talk about how amazing the character designs are? I mean, jeez, these are some of my favorite designs in all of gaming for more reasons than one, of course, but all that aside, it's really the gameplay that sells this for me. I would think that a strategy game would be boring, however, I found myself very invested in thinking about every decision I'd make. That's probably due to the fact that if one of your units fall in battle, then they're gone for the rest of the game, meaning that every decision counts. And with almost all the characters being extremely likable, I definitely wanted every one of my units to live. It's the fun and challenging gameplay complemented with everything else that makes me simply adore the series known as Fire Emblem, making it now my favorite Nintendo franchise. Even a game I wouldn't call my favorite is nothing short of amazing. You know, even if I've only played these ones because Amazon still needs to chill. Would you look at that, half the list was taken over completely by Nintendo. Well, now that we're finally moving on from the big end, why not talk about a series that continues to tug on my heartstrings to this day? You get it? Because Kingdom Hearts. Oh, what a wild ride this franchise has been over the years, especially as someone who's been with this series since the beginning. So first, I will say that this is a story that spanned many games and continue to confuse the crap out of a majority of the human race, but I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't a guilty pleasure of mine. Also, I kinda understand it pretty well if I do say so myself, except for, you know, Dream Drop Distance and that whole time traveling crap. Screw that noise. The characters also hold a special place in my heart because as I grew up, these characters grew up with me. Clearly I still have my nostalgia goggles on, but I do think that these are legitimately likable characters. However, I still find so much to love about this series' combat. Every game is so fast-paced and flashy while still having that depth to give them challenge, but fairness. It also comes down to skill in these games, most of the time, and I can't get enough of it. Add in tons of beautiful colors and graphics, an all-star cast of Disney characters, and beautiful music brought to you by my favorite composer Yoko Shimomura, and you've got a franchise that I'll treasure until the very end. Even the ones that I really don't care for. Mega Man, my dear boy Rock. I love Mega Man, guys. I really love Mega Man. Did you know that this was my first video game franchise? Well, at least the first one I was into enough to remember to this day. With some of the weirdest and cheesiest plots ever, it's a gameplay that demands my skill and enjoyment. A lot can be said about you. Let's start with the music. Like, holy shit. Each game has at least a handful of tracks I can jam out to, and it shouldn't be surprising since a lot of the characters are named after musical instruments and all that jazz. To be fair, most of the normal games don't take the story too seriously, but it's the spin-offs that really take off in terms of narrative, going for the feels and good written characters. Not all of them hit the right note, but enough to make me not only appreciate the effort, but legitimately enjoy a lot of the moments throughout the franchise. Whether it be a platformer spectacle, JRPG, or whatever the hell they decide to make Mega Man do next, I always find myself having a blast with the gameplay. Maybe it's the cast of characters that have been with me since childhood, maybe it's the pretty colors and graphics, or maybe it's the fun twists to conventional game genres that Mega Man always brings. I couldn't tell you, but rest assured, I love me some Mega Man, and even if we don't get anything else, I've got a crap ton of games to keep me occupied and to keep me entertained for years to come. Rock on, Blue Bomber, you're the man. It's Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog! What can honestly be said? Actually, the better question is what can be said without getting any fans triggered. Anyways, Sonic the Hedgehog. Boy, oh boy, it's been a ride. In the end, I always find myself loving the crap out of this blue hedgehog. It's a series that's continued to entertain me over the years, and despite the shortcomings, there are way too many fun titles in this glorious franchise for me to care. Visual eye candy regarding characters, colors, and technical finesse in many of the entries, some of the best damn music ever conceived, and fast-paced action that gets my adrenaline pumping and my hype levels to max. A combination of platforming and speed is such a satisfying and great concept for gameplay that more times than not is executed in ways that make me gush. The classic games will always be some of my favorite games, the 3D games can be great when done right, and I even find myself enjoying a lot of the spin-offs. I just love Sonic, man. His games are, to put it simply, fun, and I can never get enough of this guy's adventures. I'm hard on this guy, I won't deny that, but I do it because I know that Sega can provide some incredible entertainment through this franchise because they've done it on multiple occasions. So don't get it twisted, I adore Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's not changing anytime soon. Just please don't put him in an RPG again, for heaven's sake.
What was that all about? And look what you did to my emerald!
Persona!
What? You mean Persona? That spin-off franchise of Shin Megami Tensei gets its own spot on the list? What do you mean? Well, I never got too into Shin Megami Tensei as of writing this list, and let's be honest, Persona slowly made itself into its own thing. Heck, Shin Megami Tensei isn't even on the title of Persona 5. Besides, it's my list and I don't really give fucks, so anyways, I've grown to adore Persona and everything it does, with every single game having something new to stand out, improving on the previous game and still being unbelievable in terms of sheer quality. Every story is engaging, dark, and engrosses the player with every single scene and moment. The characters are all likable and have a surprising amount of depth to them, even the side characters, which a lot of games struggle with. Then in terms of aesthetic, every single game has a sense of style to them, whether it be for the art or those sexy as hell soundtracks. Seriously, every single game has a phenomenal sound to them that I'll never get enough of. Then they get the brilliant idea of dividing the game into two major aspects, being half a life simulator and the other half a dungeon crawler. In the life portion, every game is full of characters to grow closer to, jobs to do, going to school, and just living it up in whatever crazy scenarios are thrown your way. No matter what, it was always entertaining, making me love every minute of it. I especially love romancing certain characters like Makoto Nijima and a literal angel, if you're asking me. Oh, you're not? Well, okay then. With dungeon exploration, there are tons of different locations to go through and many enemies to fight, all requiring their own strategies and figuring out which personas best fit your playstyle. With tons of depth in combat requiring strategy and skill, along with each entry getting faster paced and adding their own spins, this is a franchise that never ceases to disappoint me and keep me on my toes. I love every second of it. Even the spin-offs are hella tight. This is a franchise that's constantly growing and I can't wait for the many games to come. Call me weed trash or whatever you want, but Persona is outstanding in everything it does, especially the girls, because hot damn.
Your power's incredible, Joker.
Not even worth hyping this one up because let's face it, if it wasn't Sonic, it had to be Tales of. Let me tell you a thing or two. My favorite genre in terms of video games is JRPGs, and I have a knack for detailed stories, characters that are relatable, likable, and entertaining to watch develop, great soundtracks, unique and timeless art styles and graphics, and gameplay that focuses more on the player's skill while still being challenging and fun. In a nutshell, this is the Tales series. Let's call it the Final Fantasy of JRPGs, being the similar scale and the titles are all disconnected, having their own cast, world, and narrative, not counting direct sequels. Every plot had me hooked, with a huge help being thanks to some of the best written characters I've had the pleasure of learning about in all of fiction. Seriously, there's so much growth and so many layers in regards to each one of these goofballs, and I loved every second of my time spent with them. Each cast feels like a family and just... ugh, I love it! In regards to gameplay, exploring the worlds are engaging, solving puzzles and going through dungeons is always a blast, and fighting is fun and full of energy, being some of the best fighting in any JRPG, with one title in particular having my favorite combat system out of any game ever. Oh yeah, and the graphics are charming and in most cases, timeless. Not to mention the majority of the music is eargasmic, which is always a plus, let's be real. I marathoned the crap out of this series when I was first getting into it, making me realize just how much I love Tales of. With this series being home to my favorite cast, favorite character, and even my favorite game of all time, I fell in love, making me not able to put it any less than the #1 spot on my favorite video game franchises. JRPGs at their finest. Oh yeah, and Lucan tier on my OTP, and if you don't agree, then I'll kill you. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching, my lovelies.